last year I had the idea of using Facebook to, as part of my English class. The last book we read in the first semester is a novel called Chronicle of a Death Foretold, and there are a seemingly endless number of characters in the book. So I assigned each student a character in the novel, and they had to track that character every time that character appears, keep a record of the page number, and just sort of monitor that character as the student read. And at the end of the novel, I assigned them to create a Facebook page for that character. So the character's likes, who the character's friends with, maybe imagine that character's status updates. And they created these profiles, and they put them online. And they created a network of friends, all from the same book, all other students in Poly, actually all sophomores in my English class. And they were all part of a social network just like anyone else's Facebook page. What I realized as the project was going on was that the real analytical part of the assignment would be emphasized if the students were not befriending other characters in the same book, but if they had to think about all the books they had read over the first semester. And then they'd be forced to imagine, if some character from Chronicle of a Death Foretold would be friends with Nora, the main character in A Doll's House. And in thinking about that question, they would have to really understand the character and be able to make connections across these texts. So that's what the project this semester, this year, is. The characters create Facebook pages for a character I've assigned them, and they have to befriend characters from other texts. This year, instead of actually creating Facebook pages online, I asked them to create sort of physical objects that represented Facebook pages. So poster board, chart paper, big construction paper creations that look like a Facebook page, have all the information of a Facebook page, but aren't actually online. And the reason why I did it this way was really, I found using Facebook, I found the project a lot of fun, and I think that the response from the students was generally positive. But I found organizing the online component of Facebook a bit cumbersome. It didn't occur to me last year until about halfway through the project that the students would all create these pages in the names of their characters, but then I would never be able to see all of their pages. So I had to create a character page. It just became all these sort of, I don't know what to call them, glitches in the way that the technology, the online technology works that I hadn't anticipated. That actually in the end I think worked out, but I just wanted to avoid it altogether. Plus, the second reason why I didn't want to do it online this year is that the Facebook pages from last year's class still exist. So there would be two Santiago Nassars, for example, the character in Chronicle of Death Foretold. The sort of ancillary part of this assignment is that I really want students to reflect on the way that Facebook technology, online technology, actually shapes the way forces us to imagine things, or shapes the way we might imagine both the literature we read and the way we imagine our own lives. So for example, a character's likes, what the character likes, those things aren't laid out in a straightforward way. So really smart presentations, really smart Facebook profiles in this assignment take things that we know about the character and shape them into likes, right? Facebook then actually forces us to think differently. It forces us to think about the world in terms of likes, in terms of status updates. Obviously, that's not discourse that's used in the books we're reading. So I also want students to then reflect on the way that their own Facebook pages, their own Facebook profiles, and their own lives, the way that this sort of language of Facebook shapes the way they think about themselves. So it forces them to think about their own life in terms of likes and status updates and friends. This is all because in the second semester we're reading Brave New World, and the dystopian future that book imagines is a world where technology mediates all relationships, and to make connections between that world and our world, and maybe the worlds of the books we've read the first semester, I think is important.